New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is having some sort of crazy awakening. Now, she first joined the Democratic Party as a member of the House and a very conservative Democrat. But since then, she has slowly become more and more progressive. And since Trump became elected, she has supported pieces of progressive legislation, like supporting the Medicare for All bill that Bernie put up, and has voted against every Trump nomination. Now, she continues saying all the right things. So, look, I have 3 clips to show you here from her appearance at Ozy Fest 2018 this past weekend, where she was on stage with Chelsea Handler, and they were both interviewed by Anna Kasparian. Now, as I said, I have these clips to show you, and look, whether it's money in politics, healthcare, or the Democratic Party strategy for the future, she is saying all the right things. But you know what? You be the judge. Let me play these clips and see what you think. So this first clip is on money in politics.
I think getting money out of politics is the most important thing any candidate in America can be for. And I'll tell you why. Because money in politics has either a directly corrupting effect or at least has a soft corruption effect. Meaning that if you are only spending time with people who are giving you money, then as Chelsea said, you aren't hearing 99.9% of the rest of the country. You're not hearing what their priorities are, what they care about. And if you're only spending your time with the elite, political or financial elite, you will never be a good public servant. You will never be able to really hear what your constituents need and what they want. And I have always cared about transparency and accountability. When I was a House member, I was the first member of Congress to post my schedule, to post my earmark requests, and to post my financial disclosure online so my constituents could know what I was doing, who I was meeting with, and who had my ear. And when I did make an earmark request for, let's say, the local senior center to rebuild a new facility, I would make sure if anyone from that organization had given me a donation, I returned that donation. Because I want to take money out of politics, and I want to end the perception that money decides what your positions are. So this has been a much longer journey than that.
So that was actually fantastic. She not only understands the issue of money in politics, understands that it has a direct and indirect or soft effect on politicians in terms of how the amount of time that politicians spend with their donors clearly has an impact on what issues they are concerned with. So if they're spending more time with people who are extremely wealthy, then they're going to focus more on the issues that affect the people that they're spending time with, the extremely wealthy, rather than their actual voters. So that is the indirect or soft effect, as she described it. So she understands all that, and she talks about this in a detailed, honest way. So look, there are politicians out there like Cory Booker and Kamala Harris who have stopped taking corporate PAC money as well. But they haven't talked about the issue in this way. They haven't really dived into it. And when, again, some of these politicians, when they speak, it feels like they are reading off a teleprompter and they don't actually care about the issue. Kirsten Gillibrand, here, it seems like she actually cares about the issue. And to her credit here, she talked about how she was one of the first members of Congress to put up her schedule, her earmark requests, and her financial disclosure form online. And she's telling the truth. So I looked it up. Here is an article from June 2007 discussing how she is one of 2 of the first Congress people to put up that information online. So, look, I continue to sort of remain skeptical of Gillibrand because of her past, but it's possible for people to have a turnaround. And I'm actually starting to believe that Kirsten Gillibrand has had a real turnaround here. Now, let me play this next clip where she discusses healthcare.
I also believe that to be a good member of Congress, you really do have to listen to your grassroots. And back to the point you said, what do Democrats need to learn? Which is why I was for Medicare for All when I was a House member in a 2-to-1 Republican district. Because the reason I was for Medicare for All was because when you listen to people you represent, they still couldn't afford health care. And health care wasn't a right. It really was a privilege. And so you needed to figure out, how can I get at least one not-for-profit public option available? And so what I proposed 12 years ago was we should be for Medicare for all. Let anybody buy in at a rate they can afford so they have at least one piece of competition from the not-for-profit sector. Because the insurance industry shouldn't really be involved in healthcare because they have to guarantee their corporate profits, they have to guarantee their shareholder value, they have to pay that CEO millions of dollars. And if you had the not-for-profit option, single payer, Medicare for all, Medicaid for all, any of those could work because you're taking out that fat profit margin.
That was great. I'm really trying to find issues with these clips because I've been critical of Gillibrand in the past. I have a video, I think I did maybe 6-7 months ago, on how I don't really trust her. But as somebody who is a progressive, you have to remain open-minded. You have to understand that people do learn and change and evolve. And it's completely okay. It happens. So look, I'm not saying trust her 100%. It's okay to be skeptical. It's good to be skeptical. But at the same time, also remain open-minded and understand that people can and do change. So here on healthcare, she, as she said, so she supported a Medicare buy-in back in 2006. So I looked it up, and it's true. Here's an article on it. In 2006, the Democratic challenger in New York's 20th congressional district race announced her support for a different approach to healthcare, allowing Americans to buy into Medicare. The challenger was Kirsten Gillibrand, a political newcomer who ran against incumbent U.S. Representative John Sweeney, a Republican. Quote, "I think we need more competition in the system," Gillibrand told the Albany Times-Union in 2006. "The whole healthcare system is being framed by the healthcare industry. What Americans need to do is focus on a preventative care system." So there you go. She was on this issue back in 2006. Now, that sort of Medicare buy-in system isn't exactly the same as Bernie Sanders' Medicare for all system, but it's in the same ballpark. And it's a lot more than many Democrats were saying back in 2006. And again, in that clip, she tied the healthcare industry back to the profit motive, how the insurance industry should not be in the healthcare industry because the insurance industry is looking for a profit. And it doesn't make sense to essentially make money off of sick people. So again, she deeply understands these issues. It's not like she's just saying, yeah, I support Medicare for all. No, she's going in depth on these topics. So that's why I trust her more on this issue than I would say someone else like maybe Cory Booker, who wouldn't be as in depth on this topic as Gillibrand is here. So just to set up this last clip, Anna Kasparian asks Gillibrand about Obama's first term, when Democrats had control of the House and the Senate, yet they continued to make concessions to the GOP, even though they didn't have to. So for example, Obamacare. Obamacare is a private insurance-based healthcare system. It was a conservative position from the 90s, yet that's what Democrats pushed for, when they could have pushed for an actual, real public, either a public option or a Medicare for all type system. So Anna asks her about this and what the future game plan is for the Democratic Party.
So what happened during Obama's first term, and how can we ensure that Democrats get things done if they have that level of power in the future?
So when we flip the House and flip the Senate, I think the first thing we should do is deal with the children who are being separated from their families at the border. We should, I think we should get rid of ICE. We should separate out the two missions and do the anti-terrorism mission, the national security mission, and then on the other side, make sure you're doing looking at immigration as a humanitarian issue. These are civil issues. These are families. Look at it as the economic engine that it is, that immigration is our strength. It is our diversity is what makes this country and our economy so strong. So re-looking at that issue. I think we should pass the gun reform issues within the first month, all of them. Universal background checks, anti-trafficking, making sure people can't buy bump stocks, large magazine clips, all that work. I would do all that. I would just focus on the things that the American people are so angry about and really passionate about. And one of our challenges, as you said, when we had the time with healthcare, I don't know why we didn't start with Medicare for all. It was such a mistake to build Obamacare on a very moderate, very almost conservative model of placing it on top of the for-profit insurance industry. I just think that was a mistake. The intention was good. The intention was to bring Republicans on board, to make this a bipartisan bill. But when they all voted against it and wouldn't support the bill, you should have gone back to the right answer, which would have been Medicare for all. So I think the lesson of that is be what you're for, really try to mobilize the American people to support what you're for. And try to do some of that stuff in the first year, like getting money out of politics, focusing on simple solutions like postal banking, which I can explain if you want, or focus on any of the economic things that would make people's lives better, like giving them the job training they need to get the jobs, to make sure that anybody who wants to be working full-time can be working full-time. Like, that's where the solutions lie, and we need to do that stuff, because that's what the American people are so angry about. It's what they're fighting about. It's what they're protesting about. So listening to the people we represent.
What's going on here? She's saying all the right things. Kirsten Gillibrand is, look, there were so many points she made there. I couldn't even make notes for all of them because they were just, point after point after point of being progressive on these issues and diving into these different issues. So, I mean, a few examples here. She's for abolishing ICE and treating immigration as a humanitarian issue, which is the only way that immigration should be treated as. So the US and my country, Canada, are built on the backbone of immigration. We are built on immigrants. So the idea now to treat immigration as criminals coming to the country is completely ridiculous. So treating immigration as a humanitarian issue is not really a phrase that I've heard uttered by many Democrats or any Democrats. And Kirsten Gillibrand has taken that position. Other issues here, gun reforms. Obviously, she is now a big proponent of major gun reforms, which I completely support as well. And the best point in that whole clip was when she admitted the mistake of Obamacare. She admitted that, yeah, Obamacare being a for-profit insurance model was a mistake. We should have actually pushed for a Medicare for all type system. What more could you ask for? Democrats very rarely admit mistakes. So to actually see somebody up there, see a sitting senator discuss how it was a mistake to push for Obamacare and they should have pushed for a public model for healthcare is awesome. And again, she is discussing these issues in a way that is honest, that is genuine. I actually believe her when she's talking about this, and she's going in depth on these issues, not just listing off, a bunch of policies. So, look, people will remain skeptical. There are definitely 100% going to be comments under this video saying that she's a liar, she's a fake, don't believe her. I understand the skepticism. All I'm saying is if you truly are somebody who is open-minded, and I think most people who are on the progressive side of the spectrum are open-minded to ideas, you also have to be open-minded to the fact that people change, people evolve, and it's completely okay. So Kirsten Gillibrand, whatever her motives are, and it may simply be the fact that the majority of the country is now in support of these progressive policies. I mean, if that's the only reason, I don't care. She's on the right side of these policies, and she sounds genuine and educated on them. So if she may actually be a progressive now. And look, I'm still full on Bernie 2020, but Kirsten Gillibrand, if she's on the right side, then that's awesome.